Imagine losing $250 million, not to a hacker, but to a phone call. Late one night, a wealthy crypto investor got a call from two young men claiming to be support agents from Google and Gemini. With a few well-placed words and a touch of panic, they convinced him his account was under attack. In reality, these so-called agents were after his fortune, using nothing more than persuasion and social engineering. They didn't need to hack, they just needed him to trust. So how did they pull off one of the most shocking social engineering scams? And what happened when the investor realized the truth? Stay tuned to unravel this mind-bending heist and discover where all that money ended up. On August 18, 2024, in Washington, D.C., a prominent investor awoke to a chilling discovery. His cryptocurrency wallet, containing over 4,100 Bitcoin, valued at roughly $250 million, had been drained overnight. But what followed was stranger than fiction. The crime wasn't carried out through traditional hacking. No firewalls were breached, no malware installed. Instead, the masterminds, Malone Lamb and Gan Serrano, orchestrated the entire heist using a tactic known as social engineering. Unlike complex cyber attacks, social engineering relies not on technology but on psychology. It's a method that preys on human instincts: fear, urgency, trust. Rather than breaking down digital defenses, Lamb and Serrano chose to exploit the investor's trust, guiding him through what seemed to be standard security measures. They posed as customer support agents from Google and Gemini, two names the investor would naturally associate with reliability. With a sense of urgency, they convinced him his account was under immediate threat, leading him to disable two-factor authentication and hand over control of his funds directly. Social engineering operates on a simple principle: make the target believe a lie and prompt them to act. The tactic itself is nothing new, but its effectiveness lies in its simplicity. It leaves little trace, and unlike digital hacks, it avoids the typical security alarms. For Malone Lamb and Gan Serrano, this psychological manipulation turned out to be a powerful weapon. So, how did these two young men manage to orchestrate such a flawless deception? And what happened to the investor's fortune after the funds vanished? According to the indictment, the heist began on August 18, 2024, when Malone Lamb and Gan Serrano initiated a call to their target, posing as customer support agents from Google and Gemini. These names carry serious credibility in the tech and crypto world, and the two young men used that to their full advantage. They informed the investor of suspicious activity on his account, carefully crafting a sense of urgency to make him feel that his funds were at immediate risk. This tactic wasn't without precedent. Just months earlier, billionaire Mark Cuban had fallen victim to a similar scheme. Cuban had received 4 back-to-back calls that appeared to be from a legitimate Google Assistant number, each one claiming an unknown device was accessing his account. When he finally picked up, the voice on the other end guided him through an account recovery process, which turned out to be a ploy to compromise his information. For their own heist, Malone and Serrano mirrored this approach. Once they had the investor on the line, they played on his fears, making it clear that only they could secure his account in time. In the heat of the moment, the investor followed their instructions without question. The brilliance and danger of this method lay in the fact that they never had to guess his passwords or bypass any digital security. Instead, they convinced him to disable two-factor authentication, TFA, the very feature that's meant to add a layer of security by requiring a second verification step. Normally, even with a password, one would need a unique code sent to the account holder's phone or email to gain access. But with TFA turned off, Malone and Serrano now had a clear path into his account. In essence, they'd sidestepped every security protocol simply by gaining his trust, and with that, they took control over his entire fortune. But they weren't finished yet. With the security barriers down, Malone and Serrano directed the investor through a sequence of supposed safety steps, ultimately maneuvering him into transferring his entire balance into an account they controlled. This is a hallmark move in social engineering. Establish trust, ramp up urgency, and lead the victim into a trap they don't even see coming. At one point, Malone turned to Serrano and confidently said, "We got him on any desk." The investor, convinced he was securing his account, had unknowingly been led through restoring his wallet, setting up a new backup, and syncing it to OneDrive. For their scheme to succeed, however, Malone and Serrano needed full control of his computer. So they instructed him to install AnyDesk, a remote desktop application that allows someone to access and operate another computer from anywhere in the world. Once installed, the scammers had unfettered access to his files, including the private keys to his Bitcoin core wallet. Imagine this wallet as a digital vault holding all of his Bitcoin. With those private keys, they essentially held the combination to his safe. Within minutes, they executed the transfer, moving his entire fortune into accounts under their control. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. After walking away with a staggering $250 million, you'd think Malone and Serrano might lay low. Instead, they plunged headfirst into a spending spree that was as extravagant as it was reckless. According to the indictment, they burned through millions on luxury cars, private jets, designer watches, and high-end properties in Los Angeles and Miami. And it didn't stop there. One video even surfaced of the pair at a Miami nightclub, casually handing out over $500,000 to partygoers. Their spending frenzy turned heads and left a trail.
We did it! Oh my god!
Way, nigga.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
No way.
The question now was how long they could keep this act up before their luck ran out. Clubgoers around Malone and Serrano were left stunned, trying to make sense of the high-rolling duo who casually dropped between $300,000 and $600,000 in one night. And if that level of spending wasn't over the top enough, Malone took things to an entirely new level of extravagance and rejection. He went out and bought a bright pink 2024 Lamborghini Urus for a woman he was hoping to impress, only to have her turn him down. Imagine spending serious cash on a customized luxury car only to get rejected. That's next level heartbreak right there. Not stopping there, he gifted another random woman in the club a $30,000 designer purse. Their lavish gestures only emphasized how desperate they were for attention, broadcasting their newfound wealth as if it could never run out. But the more they flaunted their riches, the more attention they attracted. And while they just pulled off one of the most notorious crypto heists in history, they hadn't exactly taken any serious steps to keep things quiet. As it turns out, Malone and Serrano had seriously underestimated the power of blockchain technology. The blockchain acts like an indelible public ledger, recording every transaction ever made with cryptocurrency. While they attempted to cover their tracks by running their stolen Bitcoin through crypto mixer services designed to obscure the origins of cryptocurrency, each transaction still left its own trace on the blockchain. That's where crypto detectives like Zach XBT come into play. Zach, an experienced blockchain sleuth, specializes in tracing stolen cryptocurrency by following the digital breadcrumbs on the blockchain. Despite Malone and Serrano's attempts to dodge investigators by using tools like VPNs to obscure their IP addresses and complex peel chains to break up large amounts of Bitcoin into smaller, more challenging to trace pieces, their arrogance and high-profile spending left a clear trail pointing right back to them. The blockchain had recorded every step, making it possible for someone as skilled as Zach to follow their trail without difficulty. If the blockchain trail wasn't enough to catch them, their blatant overconfidence did the rest. Not only were they burning through millions like it was nothing, but they were openly bragging about it on Discord. For anyone unfamiliar with self-snitching, these two made it an art form. They recorded themselves, laughing about how easy it had been to steal $250 million, casually sharing details about how they manipulated the victim and spent the fortune as if they were untouchable. Adding to their recklessness, they captured videos of themselves mid-heist, reacting with disbelief and excitement as the money hit their accounts. "Oh my god, $243 million! Bro, I'm going to spaz out!" they exclaimed, marveling at the sheer scale of their score.
Oh my god! $243 million! Bro, I'm gonna spaz out!
Their excitement, their boasts, every careless admission was all caught on tape. And that footage would be their downfall. The blockchain had left a trail, but their voices and faces provided irrefutable proof. Ultimately, those recordings became the final nail in the coffin. When investigators got hold of their self-made confessions, it was game over. Every laugh, every brag, every incriminating word solidified the case against them, leaving no room for denial. The blockchain had its own digital evidence, but their own voices were the ultimate testimony to their crime. On a quiet Wednesday night, the FBI, supported by the Miami police, executed a raid on a waterfront mansion near Miami shores, jolting the neighborhood awake. We heard loud booms. We thought something big was going down in the neighborhood. There were cops everywhere, one neighbor recalled. Known for being a short-term rental spot for late-night parties, the mansion played host to a very different kind of event that night: the arrest of 20-year-old Malone Lamb and his 21-year-old accomplice from Los Angeles. Together, they were accused of stealing and laundering over $230 million in cryptocurrency, about 4,100 Bitcoin, from one unsuspecting victim in Washington, D.C. Both Malone and Serrano were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to launder money, charges that carry up to 20 years in prison if convicted. But what about the victim? Unlike traditional bank accounts, cryptocurrency isn't protected by the FDIC or any other safety net, leaving him with no guarantee of ever recovering his lost fortune. Whether he'll get even a fraction of it back remains a mystery, and we might never know.